Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Live by TV. I'm super excited to have you here. I know we've grown massively in following, so if you're new here, welcome. This is the place where we like to talk all about business strategies, mindset strategies, and marketing strategies for massive growth as well. Live by TV is a part of Live by Media, where we do corporate videography and video marketing. Now, if you've watched our shows before, you will know that we have some incredible guests on who are absolute experts in their space. Now, Nicky and I connected earlier this year, and we just hit it off straight away, didn't we, Nicky?
Yeah.
So Nicky is amazing at what she does. She has 20 years of sales experience. So there's literally nothing that she does not know about sales. She has been there, done it, seen it all, got the t-shirt, everything. And that's why I'm super excited to bring her on today's show, because Nicky actually has a really awesome story. And she's just really humble and bubbly and lovely and giving. And I know that with her experience and what she's about to share with you on today's show, it's going to massively help you guys out as well. Nicky, welcome to Live by TV.
Oh, thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yes. Enjoying the sunshine.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Nicky, I know that you have a wealth of experience when it comes to sales. Have you always wanted to go into sales?
No, I actually fell into it. This is one of the... Well, I basically, just the most formal part of selling is when I actually went to go and lose some weight when I lived in Australia. And I ended up losing the weight and doing so well on it, actually, I ended up working for the company. So, yeah. So that's how that started. But if I look back, it's actually from a very young age that I was actually destined to do what I do now. Definitely.
What makes you say that?
Well, when you look at when you're a child and you think of all the things that you do, and I mean, if you're a parent especially, and trying to negotiate with your terrorizing toddlers, you know that actually you're actually born to be a salesperson because you were the terrorizing toddler at one stage. And then obviously when you're as a parent, you're actually negotiating with the toddler. So it's the same sort of thing, really. So when I was a youngster, obviously I was never wanted to go to bed on the time that my parents wanted me to go to bed. So I would be forever going, can I please stay up for 5 more minutes or 10 more minutes, or if I just do this or whatever. But then obviously as you get older and you do more things, and I just think, looking back now, I think about some of the things that my dad used to teach me. Strategies, not so much strategies, but more a case of like life lessons that now when I look back, I realise that actually they formulated the kind of person I am now. So in that sense, it's like really, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's like honouring my ingenuity and really fostering that within myself. So like my dad used to keep all his change in his centre console of his car. And what that did was I used to say to Dad, can I clean your car? And knowing full well that there's going to be a whole stash of money in the car. And he'd say, you go clean your car. And if you find any money in the car, then you can have it. Now, obviously, there used to be quite a lot of change in there. So it's always worth doing. But the thing is he didn't care about the money, the fact that he was giving me all this money, which probably fed the family for at least a couple more days because there was that much in there. But the way he saw it was that he was actually encouraging me to actually think about my work ethic and about, the fact that you've got to take chances in life. So sometimes there'd only be like 50p in there. Sometimes they'd be up to £5, which when you think how old I am, that's quite a significant amount of money. So yeah, so there's that. And then there was also this little game that we used to play as well, which is where he'd hand out two hands, and he'd have a load of cash in this hand, which would be change, and this would be a 50p, because 50p was my pocket money. And what he would do then is he'd say, guess which one do you want? And it was a gamble. And that was about taking chances. Did I go for did I go for this hand that might have the 50p in it, or do I go for the one that's got loads of cash in it, or change? And gamble. And obviously you choose, you make that judgment call and you choose. And sometimes that change was only about 20 odd pence, but that's the chance you took on that particular chance. And so again, it was all about teaching me to be able to sort of like go realize that life can be unexpected. It doesn't necessarily going to be a guarantee all the time, and that you should try and grab opportunities where you can. So definitely, yes. So that's how he started, really. I think my sales journey as doing what I'm doing now, really, I suppose is probably the best way to explain it. So
I feel like your dad has just unlocked a parenting hack there.
A what?
I feel like your dad has just unlocked a parenting hack about teaching your kids their values from the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, by the way, drop your questions in the comment section below. And if you have any comments or questions about sales, something that you're not too sure about, drop them in the comment section below. We're going to be talking all about the mindset around sales as well. And Nicky is an absolute wizard, amazing at what she does when it comes to sales, helping people to massively grow. So Nicky, you've really had those sales like values, if you like, kind of installed from you from an early stage, and you're saying that that's what like triggered you to want to have a career in sales.
I don't know necessarily it was what triggered it, but I definitely think that that's what fostered it and got me to where I was. Because when I went on to do my first sort of like Saturday job, which we used to be able to do quite young when I was a youngster, and one of the things that I learned in there was all about actively listening. You know, we do listen, don't get me wrong, but actively listening, where you're actually physically listening for certain keywords, and you're also just picking up on the vibe of somebody and what they're saying. And that was really great, because I actually shed loads of tips that way. And that was because just by listening to what they were talking about, having a conversation with somebody and really listening, and then suggesting different things, like you might like the coffee cake if you like coffee, or you might like this particular type of sandwich or something like that. And they'd go, oh, that's a really great idea. I might do that actually. And just by asking, you know, would you like that to go, your coffee to go with a nice piece of coffee cake or what have you? Then it was really easy to sell more, in which case and people appreciate that when you listen and you give advice, not advice as much, but just like, you know, give suggestions and what have you. So I probably made a lot of people very fat in Guildford, but that's but
reason though.
But it's a good reason to it.
Though, So really it comes down to having a really good ear and listening with intent rather than the intent to just reply.
Yeah.
I think that's a really key thing as well, especially in communication and building up relationships as well, because a lot of people want to just have a conversation, but only have the conversation with themselves. They just want to be heard and not listened. Yes. And I think that the best sales people, they take the focus away from themselves, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have a bit of a challenge at some point in your sales conversations? Because obviously there may have been times where you think, I really need to get this sale over the line. How can I not make this about me?
Well, I think, to be fair, because the fact that you're actually listening to the person, and the moment you start to asking the questions that open up, these open-ended questions like, you know, how does that make you feel? What does that look like? Those sorts of questions. And get them to really open up about what their issues were. You just let them just talk, and don't interject. Just apart from going, yeah, I totally get it, or yeah, I understand, or things like, you know, some of my other customers have said the same sort of thing. Those are the sorts of questions. That's the only time you interject. Let that person speak. Let that person really give you as much information until they almost like stop talking all completely. And then there might be a little bit of a pregnant pause, but that's fine, because in a normal conversation, there is pregnant pauses. And that's what a sales process is, really. Okay, there's a process, but it's a conversation. And if you look at with the idea of that you actually wanting to help that person rather than I want to sell, you want to help them, then it's a different mindset. So
it is a different mindset, isn't it? Massively. And it's not always easy for people to switch from one mindset to the other, is it?
No, not always, but it's because obviously if you're like your back is against the wall and you're not going to hit your sales target, then obviously there is a slight part of what's the word, desperation comes into it. And then you do that, but then that's the hard end way of actually quickly getting to lose the sale completely because you're desperate. So the idea is really, I mean, as a salesperson, and pretty sure there's other salespeople on this call right now that love the thrill of the chase, and to a certain extent will actually be literally taking it right to the end of the wire to actually get them past that line, to get them to get their sales targets and get their commission. But and don't get me wrong, because as a salesperson, we love the thrill of the chase. Yes, you do. You do love that, and you do love that the adrenaline that it gives you. It's almost like being an adrenaline junkie to a certain extent. I know that there's when you hit your target really early in the month, it's great and you feel really, really good. But there's nothing better than when you've had to work a little bit harder to get it.
That's the satisfaction. Do you feel like there's a fine line between desperation and hunger?
I think I think they're pretty much the same thing. I think the hunger is then that you might make mistakes, because there's a thing about that in weight loss, in the sense that never go shopping when you're hungry, because you will end up buying loads of stuff that you didn't actually want. So similar sort of situation, really. I think if you're hungry, it depends how hungry you've got to just learn to actually trust what you're doing is actually the best thing, and trust that the customer, if that customer is the right customer, and they're actually, then they're going to buy from you anyway. And if you're relaxed, the more relaxed you are, the more relaxed they become. So if you exude nice, calming, relaxing sort of like gestures and what have you, and just not be thinking, what am I going to think of next? What's the next question? What have I got to say? And you're actually listening to them, then they become more relaxed as well, and then it becomes easier for them to make that decision. If you're drilling them down, saying, what's the next question, blah 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 blah, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, too much. And then they won't actually they won't buy, because they're going to put loads and loads of blocks up against you. And sometimes you've got to remember that the sale necessarily doesn't happen when you want it to happen. It's when the customer wants it to happen, when they're ready.
I feel like that could be a Nicky Saxon quote right there.
It's when the customer's ready, not when you're ready. It's when the customer's ready. So at the end of the day, patience. And salespeople are not patient. No, we're not. We're not. So it's frustration. But you just got to learn to just let it go. And trust your process, and trust you and how you are as a person, as will actually get you over the line. So
guys, get your questions in, and do share this out with people as well, because Nicky has already shared so much value about the mindset around sales as well, and I know it's going to help so many people out, especially business owners. Nicky, I know that a lot of your skill set was developed, and a lot of your knowledge came from your own personal experience within the corporate industries. Now, you worked with corporate for quite a while, didn't you?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, was obviously my first proper sales job was with a corporate company, as in working for a company called Jenny Craig in Australia, and that was where you actually build pictures in people's minds about what it is that they want, and you're building that dream of what they want to get to, which is quite a skill, really, which is quite nice, because it means that I can explain sometimes when I'm trying to explain something and they don't necessarily get it. I can build a picture, and then there's somebody usually gets the idea of what I'm trying to say. So that was really great. And obviously that's a more of a lifestyle changing sort of situations. And then when I came back from Australia, nobody knew who Jenny Craig was. So I ended up working for selling televisions for a little while, which was awful. But then I fell into working in stationery and went to work for a very large company, one of the super dealers in stationery. And they taught me how to cold call. They taught me how to do a proper sales process. And it's like the beginning, the open-ended questioning, the drilling down to find out what their actual needs and are, to then doing the presentation, then obviously doing the benefit sale, then obviously on to selling, to closing. But it's obviously at the end of it was always negotiation. So that was great because it meant that you could actually do a sale in the same day quite easily. But again, stationery is a very what's the word I'm thinking of? Competitive market.
Oh,
so
really?
yeah, it is very competitive. There's lots of stationery companies out there. Lots.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's quite competitive. But it's cool because it was good fun. But again, it was all about them buying into you because I was selling them me as well, as in these are my ethos, this is what I do, this is what I believe in. And not only just the company, but also that you, the person, as well. So that what the company I worked for before did was they gave me the backbone of what I needed to do as in the sales process. They taught me that. They taught me how to ask for the right people so that I actually presented to the right person in the first place instead of making that mistake, which don't get me wrong, I did loads and loads of presentations to receptionists who were the people that brought the stationery or ordered it and not necessarily the person that makes that decision. So obviously I learned along the way, but one of the things that their things was that you needed to speak to the decision maker, and that's another one of those key points that we all make mistakes on, that we think that we're selling to the right person, and then who's been at that situation where they've gone, thanks very much for that, now I need to go and talk to the other half, or I need to go and talk to the boss now and talk to him about it. You know, and those situations, it's like you get this feeling in the pit of your stomach of, oh God, I've done an amazing job, got you really excited, and then, oh dear, that means that's going to be a little bit, you've got another challenge, you've got another hill to climb, and you've got somebody else to be able to, if you can get in front of that person. Because obviously they make decisions based on black and white, whereas you are talking to them in emotions. So the way to get around that, by the way, and this is a tip, is basically ask them how they're going to present what you told them. So how are you going to tell them that? Coach them on how you would want them to actually present it, give them the benefits and everything else, so that way you've got a much better chance of them saying, okay, yes. Because remember, the person that's not been in front of you is not looking at it from an emotional point of view. They're looking at it from a black and white situation.
Yeah. And people buy from emotion and then justify it with logic, don't they?
Yeah. Exactly.
Nicky, you've dropped so many amazing points in there that I want to dissect, and we can take this interview in completely different routes with all of them. So first of all, I want to ask, is cold calling dead? Because some say it is, some say it isn't. Oh, no. What are your thoughts?
Definitely not. Well, there's obviously.
How can people make it work for them then?
Say that again, sorry.
How can people make it work for them then?
Be yourself and just have the confidence to do it. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and they said the hardest part is getting started. Once you're doing it, it's fine. It's just you've got to get started. And this is the same for cold calling, whether it's over the telephone, which is something that even I do it, but I don't necessarily like doing it. But and the thing is I'm actually quite good at it, but still don't like doing it. But then there's the one that I actually love to do, which I like to call as my superpower, which is to go and knock on doors, which people think is even worse. So I've got no idea why, because it's the most amazing experience you'll ever have. And you're thinking, oh my God, this woman's just absolutely mad, right? Yeah, no, I am very mad. However, you just don't know what's behind that door. And one of the things that I liken it to is when you're a kid and maybe you've gone on a camping holiday with your family.
Yeah.
What happens is you all rock up at the campsite, Mum and dad unpacks the car and gets the tent out and everything else, right? And starts loading, getting the tent together and everything. What do you kids do? You suddenly disperse to the other sides of the campsite and go exploring, and you go looking for all the cool places to go and make your camps, your own camps, or places where you're going to get the nice ice creams from, or where you're going to go and do, or where the local kids are that are hanging out, to see where all the kids hang out, so you can go and play with the kids. You do that. You go and explore. So when I go cold calling, that's what I'm doing. I'm exploring. I'm actually going. I'm looking for where all the cool kids hanging out, where I'm going to get my nice ice creams. Because believe it or not, even when you're cold calling, you get given ice cream. So I have been before now. I have been. So it's it's one of those things where you just got to have that mindset of this is exploring, and every door, especially businesses. These doors are meant to be opened. The companies want you to go through that door because they want you to see what they've got or what they're doing. So if you don't go through that door because you're thinking, oh no, they're not going to want to talk to me, they won't. Okay, it's as simple as that. But if you go through that door going, I've got something I truly believe in, and I really know that this is going to help these people, then they are because look at the way if I go, I don't think they're going to talk to me. Okay. Oh no, they're going to talk to me. Look at the difference. The difference is that my mindset has changed. My body language has changed as well. So, and I'm already giving the vibes that actually, yes, they do want to talk to me because that's important. Yeah. That's very important.
Do you have any tips to help people kind of be themselves, or scripts to kind of get people started in sort of cold calling? Because the reality is you tell most people to be themselves, and you may as well tell them to build an engine.
Yeah, okay. I think way I look at it is when I go in, because I'm it's you, the company you work for, okay, is behind you, okay? It's you that's in front of them. So if you come across as being really genuine and you want to find out about them and you want to learn about them and you're interested, what does the company do? Mm-hmm. One of the questions to ask is what does the company do? Because it's amazing how many companies you can go through the door and you think it says, I don't know, Gobbledygook Incorporated. What does Gobbledygook Incorporated do? I've got no idea. And so they don't. Oops, Daisy. So you don't always know what's going on. So are you all right there, Rahini? You just wanted to
my phone just got knocked off. It's so good. We're still here. We're still going.
Right. So when you go through a door, okay, Acrim at Windows tells them that you do Windows. But what kind of windows are they making? Are they making regular windows? So double glazing. They're making triple glazing windows. Are they making the film that goes over the top of the windows? It's not necessarily all about what it says on the tin. You know, there's always something else going on in the background as well. So it's asking those sorts of questions. But going in with a smile is the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. You are positive. You've got a nice friendly smile that says, yes, hello, how are you? How can you not say hello to me when I smile at you? You just can't do it, can you? So if you go in looking dour, if you go in looking dour, it's not going to happen. They're just. Oh, if you look at the floor, don't do that either, because that'll just not get you anywhere either. You've got to go in with a big smile. But think of something nice. If you that's challenging, think of something nice. Think of something that makes you really happy. For me, it's my grandchildren. So I think of my grandchildren, and that instantly brings a smile to my face. So that's what you've got to do, and then just remember that what you've got is exactly what they need. They just don't know it yet.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. We're broadcasting live across LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. Because of the software that I'm using, I cannot see who's watching, so I'd love to know who is watching and where you're watching from. Let me know in the comment section below. So, Nicky, after you had your experience in the corporate world, how did you then transition into corporate life to business life? And what was it? Was your sales strategies a bit different? Because obviously when you're working for a corporate and then you get sales for them and then you have to go and get sales for yourself, I imagine it's a bit of a different mindset because it's a different ball game, really, isn't it?
It is and it isn't. I think at the end of the day, people buy me. Don't get me wrong, what I actually offer is something that people want. It's because they don't like doing what I do. And that's the reason why I came into the business of doing what I'm doing. So I started my business, when was it? January 2020. Very great time to start a business. And it was amazing. But the thing is, about 2 years prior to that, the company that I was working for had sent me out networking. And so I was going to these networking events and they'd all say, so what do you do, Nicky? And I'd say, I'm a BDM, which just means a Business Development Manager. How does that work then? So you'd say, tell them I knock on cold call and try and find new business. And they would turn around and go, oh my God, I couldn't do what you do. I just could not do what you do. And I'm like, why not? I just don't get it. But virtually 99% of the people that I spoke to all said the same thing. And they're all business owners. And because obviously I'm networking with business owners. Yeah. So it's, and I'm thinking, well, actually, there's a niche here. There's something different that I can do that's going to be slightly different from everybody else. So I then decided to after a little while of being working where I was working and thinking, you know what, I really want to do something that's going to feed my soul. So when you work for the corporate world, you're a number, you're appreciated, but you're not really appreciated. So it's one of those things where
money.
Yeah, you're appreciated for the money, the fact that you've hit your target and you're going to get paid, whatever. But it's just more a case of, you're just a person. You're not a person. You're just a number. Yeah. So what I wanted to do is when I was working in Australia, I had a job that was actually feeding my soul because I was enabling people to go on and do bigger and better things by inspiring them, to help them to lose their weight and what have you. So I've been searching since I've been back, which is 20 odd years now, that I wanted something that I could do that would actually feed my soul and helping other people to grow. And when I was working in stationery, if I've got a brand new customer that was a brand new company and watching them grow, it was really exciting. I used to love the buzz of watching this company go from being, there was a company in Farnborough that I used to look after, and they were architects. And they had just the two guys in there, and they grew, and it was so lovely to have that kind of relationship with a company where, as they grew, obviously I grew with them because obviously they needed more stationery and what have you. But it's lovely to be in that excitement, and I really loved that excitement. And then when I decided to do my job, this business, I thought about the excitement that I used to get from my customers when they were growing, because there's a buzz, as you know, there's a buzz you get when you think the business is going to grow and it's going to be amazing. So I thought, how can I do that, and how can I help other people do that? And that's when I came up with the idea of actually doing the cold calling side of things, because it was the case of, actually, this is something that people need, because cold calling isn't dead, especially the knocking on the doors. And I'll explain why in a minute as to why I think it's not dead. But it's if I was to help your business grow, for instance, you're going to appreciate it so much more than if I was working for a corporate company, because then I'm just feeding coffers into some person that's got a yacht in flipping the Philippines or something like that. It's like that. But whereas when it's you, Rahini, or it's Joe Bloggs down the road who's got a company that's a telecoms company and they've only got about 15 customers and they want 100 customers, how much does that grow? How excited are those people? How excited are those people? How much do they appreciate it? And it's not about getting pats on the back as such, but it is in a way. But it's also about being able to share that excitement with somebody and everything else, because that's where it feeds your soul. And that's why I decided to do what I do. I wanted to feed my soul. Of course I need to feed myself, and of course I need to keep a roof over my head and everything else. But it's not about the money. It's about actually feeding my soul, which is more important to me.
Yeah, 100% with you on that one. Almost should come in with a question from Facebook saying, and this is a really good question actually as well, can you overtalk yourself when selling?
Yes. Yes, you can at times, because if you're really excited about something, you can get you can get a bit runaway motor mouth. If you find that though, just shut up. Just shut up. It's probably the best way to explain it. And you can talk yourself out of a sale, but I think that comes with experience. I think what will happen is after a while you'll learn to detect the temperature. I think it's like most things. When you learn to drive, okay, it's trial and error. You make mistakes, you make bunny hops when you're trying to take your foot off the clutch and all of those things, you know, and you stall the car and everything else, of course. And it's no different in sales or doing whatever you do in life, to be fair. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do those things. But after a while, they become second nature, just like driving a car. And it's almost like autopilot. And then you learn from those things. And one of the best things to do is when you walk away from a sale is to just analyze yourself and go, so what was good about that sale? What was really magical about that? What was that magical ingredient that actually got them over the line? And if it wasn't a great one, was what did I do? Not what did you do wrong? Because it's not necessarily a case of what you did wrong. Okay, it's more a case of where do you think that might have, you had a hiccup or whatever it is. So it's about trying to analyze where those things are, that where could you improve yourself a little bit more. So yes, you can talk yourself. I don't talk myself out quite regularly, to be fair, because I'm a chatterbox. But people understand that about me, and so I get away with it. So yeah. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think experience definitely plays a massive part in it, doesn't it? Remember when I used to do door-to-door sales, and I was with this one guy, and I just kept rambling, talking all about the amazing savings he can get on his gas and electric. And then I felt myself rambling, and literally mid-sentence, I just stopped and I was like, okay, do you want to go for this or not? And he goes, yeah, let's do it. What?
Yeah.
So it's surprising what can actually happen though when you really listen to what the customer actually wants.
Definitely.
I mean, have you got any tips for helping people to really read between the lines? Because obviously when they're having a dialogue or a communication with somebody, there's a lot of hidden signals, like maybe body language, that we may not necessarily be aware of, that could be a clue for the salesperson.
Yeah, there's definitely there's buying signals. There's definitely buying signals. One of them is the things is actually just watching what their actual, how their posture is. Yeah. If they're straight on and they're focused in you, then they're into you, they're buying from you, they're gonna buy from you. If they do this and they're like sort of like moving away, so at the moment my body is pointed this way, so it's away from me. So that means that no, they're not ready to buy. If they suddenly turn around and go, because you said something that's piqued their interest, and they suddenly go in and lean into you, then you know that you've got them again. So it might be a case of, if somebody does this, you've just got to change your tack slightly about what you're talking about. Obviously, this isn't important to them. So you might be talking about a benefit that you think is actually what they really need, when actually that's not what they need at all. So then you've got to pique their interest and bring them back again. So to do that is you just ask them another question.
Amazing. That kind of brings me on to a question about closing actually as well, because when I was studying sales, and this is going to sound a bit of a backwards concept to some of you, but bear with me. When I was closing sales, when I was learning about sales, they actually said that the close happens at the beginning, because the close is all about the rapport that you build and the questions that you ask in the first place, isn't it? Is that correct, Nicky?
It is and it isn't. I think, to be fair, the person, that first impression that you make on that person, to a certain extent, is the reason will be the reason why they buy from you. Yeah. Okay. It's because they like you or whatever. You know, that's so those first initial things. But you close all the way through the sale. Does that make sense? When I say that, I mean I'm asking the question to the customer. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand how that works?
Yeah.
Is that a benefit to you? Can you see how that would work in your company? Yeah. Those are the kinds of questions. You're just testing the waters, testing the waters all the way through the sale. It's just, you just don't realize it. You just and then obviously at the end, always ask for the sale. Please do not go, thanks very much, and then wait for them to tell you, yes, I'm actually going to buy it, because they might actually not say that, because they're waiting for you to ask for the sale. So, because some buyers are actually trained to do that anyway. So
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, when you've got professional buyers are obviously trained to disarm the salesperson. So yeah, because obviously we are selling on emotion. Definitely. Even something as boring as a washer is still sold on an emotion, because it's gonna solve a problem somewhere. So
very, very true. So Nicky, I want to come back to your experience in starting off your business as well. And I keep going back to your experience because I know that a lot of your experience is how you've really created an amazing story for yourself and actually learned so much about sales along the way as well. When you started your business journey, what were the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, we all start with this altruistic idea of what we were going to do. So I thought I was going to basically go out cold calling and not charge anybody any money, just go out cold calling. And if get them an appointment, and if they sold, then they would give me a commission. That's a really lovely idea, isn't it? It's amazing. I bet you, if I turned around and said to you, I'd do that now, right? You'd all be going, Nick, where do I sign? Where do I sign? Because that's not going to put a roof over my head. So I learned that very quickly, that actually, as much as that was a really lovely idea, it's not going to pay my mortgage. It's not going to put food on my table. It's not going to feed my dog. So, and my dog's very expensive. So it's like, so you have to learn. And I think along the way, it was like the lessons I've learned along the way have been absolutely amazing. And a lot of them have been because of COVID.
Yeah.
So having a baptism of fire, literally, that probably has given me some breathing space, I think, that I needed, because one of the things about when you go into business is you got the book Running a Business for Dummies, right? You've got that book. I've listened to so many podcasts, but they never really prepare you for what it's really like to run a business. Now, as a salesperson, I'm halfway there, because the biggest bit is the selling part, selling you, your service. What is it, your products? That's very important. But it's but the accountancy, the marketing, the posts that you have to put on social media, all those sorts of things, I sort of knew a little bit, but knew absolutely nothing. And that's when I realized that actually this is way more challenging than I thought it was going to be. And so I've learned, and I've tripped up so many times and thought that I could actually please everybody, and realize now that I can't, that there's only one of me, and that basically I have to do things, obviously, and say no to people. So learning to say no was very, very difficult for me as well. So
yeah, because you're such a giving, caring person.
Yeah, I do. I want everybody to be happy. I just want everybody to be smiling, and like I am, and just like living the life that, okay, it's don't get me wrong, as I smile and I'm a happier person, and I have had my challenges just like the rest of you that I've had through COVID, going up and down with not only my with work, but also with my emotional stability too, because I think that's really important too. But when you're in sales, you have to put that behind you as well.
That's a lot easier said than done, though, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you're a person that wears a heart on their sleeve, like I do. Yeah. So
how do you do that then?
What I used to do, one of my coping mechanisms when I was thinking, if I was having I'd had a bad day the day before, or somebody had a row with a partner or something like that, and you're feeling really crappy, pseudo terminology, but it's true. I would go and find somebody that was a cluster of mine that would actually just lift me up a little bit. So it might be a case of just making a phone call to somebody that makes you laugh, somebody that takes your mind off the fact that you're feeling pretty poopy right now, and then just like gets you that lift that you need. So everybody's got key people that make them laugh. You know, it's just everybody's got somebody that they can go, you know what, there's Joe down the road, I know that he's gonna have a laugh and we'll have a giggle about something, and then that'll lift me up, and then I can forget about what's going on in the world, and I can then go on and take on whatever I need to do. So that my coping strategy was always to find that person to make contact with somebody that would actually I know would make me laugh, and then that way I could take on the rest of the world for the rest of the day.
All about surrounding yourself with people that lift you up, though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm a lifty, uppy person, Susan. I know that's not a real word, okay, but that's because I'm like that. I'm a lifty, uppy person, but I am a lifty, uppy person. Ask anybody that knows me, and they'll all say the same thing, and that is that I am a sort of person that will make you giggle and will make you laugh and make you feel a little bit better. One of my customers used to say I was like a little ray of sunshine when I used to walk through their door. So I'm just a very large little ray of sunshine, but yes.
Can we talk a little bit about digital sales now? Because we've talked about cold calling, we've talked about face-to-face kind of meetings. Now everyone's talking about hybrid meetings where they sometimes meet face-to-face, they sometimes meet virtually as well. For some people, like virtual meetings is a whole different ballgame. They've completely had to adapt their strategies in order to meet the new demands of the world, really. What would you advise people who are looking to do more virtual sales meetings?
Well, to be fair, I think they're still going to be around for quite some time, and they're great for a salesperson to have to drive from one A to B to C to D, whatever, in a day. It's great because it means that you can do it all in one go, and then you know, maybe you have a half an hour in between just to sort of like decamp what you've just done. But you know, and it's good. It's good in that sense. So when you're doing the digital sort of thing, is pretty much no different than if you were doing it face to face. The difference is that obviously you can't see their whole body, so you can't read their body language as much, so you can't really see that. But there's cues. They look at you in the face. They don't go, oh, I'll just look at my phone a minute, or you know, those sorts of things. They're not doing that. They're really into what you're saying. So it's just looking for those visual cues as to whether or not, and also shut up and listen to what they're saying. So
I love that. Tell it how it is, Nicky.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, don't beat about the bush, me. Yeah. Ask for the sale, definitely. Yes.
Cool. So with all these virtual meetings that are going on now, there's obviously a lot of what we call 60-second pitches going on. Now there's some good ones and there's some questionable ones, isn't there?
Yeah.
Have you got any tips to help people really develop and I know this is an entire workshop on its own, have you got any quick tips to help people really create an awesome 60-second pitch?
There is a beginning, a middle, and an end. Always start with something that explains who you are and what you do. Okay. Yeah. Now, my one is what I've got a course that I'm actually developing at the moment for this, and this is where you actually, for your 60-second pitches, it's the who are you, what do you do, where do you do it, how is it how you do it. It's this 5 what's, 5 W's and a H basically. So you're looking and then bringing that down and drawing that down into a simple sentence. It's called an elevator pitch. And that's where you're actually just giving them a little bit of information in such a way that people will elicit the question, so tell me more, I don't understand that. So I've got a couple, and one of my ones to get people's attention, because remember, you're in a room with loads and loads of people, is to say something with shock value. So to be fair, I've won some customers on this by just saying, I chat people up for a living. It's amazing, isn't it? How many people instantly they go, oh, okay. So if you say something that's slightly a little bit controversial, maybe, or it might be a case of they're just to grab their attention. So it can be punchy as well as, but it also at the same time delivering it not loud. Well, I am loud actually, sorry, but I am loud. And I also will look at the camera a lot closer than what I do normally. So if I'm sat back talking to somebody, or if I'm looking at the camera closer, you get drawn in. So 60 seconds, start with a punchy start, then tell them about what you're doing. It might be like something to do with your latest customer, and you've done an amazing job, and there's a testimonial in there, but always end with also a hook that's something that is a memorable thing to them to remember. So if I was to tell you my 60-second start pitch is passionately prospecting everywhere, every day, sharing your business, your vision, business to business. And that's how I start my 60-second pitch. I end it with, if finding new customers fills you with dread, let me boldly go where you fear to tread. My name is Nicky and I'm from B2P. So I'm instilling in them that I can't call. I do it with passion. You can tell I can do it with passion because of the way I'm talking to you right now. So it's like that. They're instantly they're remembering that passionate prospecting. Okay, so when somebody suddenly goes, I can't get my new customers, I'm really having a hard time, they'll remember the passionate prospecting, and then they'll suddenly link it to Nicky and B2P. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to give them something. Or I chat people up for a living. Okay, believe it or not, I've actually won a few customers on that one just because of that saying, because it's like, wake up. Oh my God, that's not somebody that's selling
something boring.
Yeah, something boring, yeah. So, and what I do isn't boring.
Do you want to know what I use as my introduction sometimes?
What? Go on then.
Hi, I'm Heaney and I shoot people for a living.
There you go.
So for those of you who don't know, I do it legally, by the way. I'm a videographer by trade. Let's just come in with another question from Facebook. And guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. He goes, how in depth do you need? How much knowledge do you need of your product, basically, to sell it?
I think you don't need to know absolutely everything that's about a product. However, if you're a business person and it's your business, you know everything there is to know about that product. If you're a salesperson working for that company, I think some of the key things I do, and this is what I do when I go into a customer call for the first time to work with them, is I want to know about the ethos of the company. I want to know about the product. Yes, I do, but I don't need to drill down too much. But I do like to have some information about what it is, how technical it is. And I will get into the nitty gritty and I'll ask lots of questions. And I don't necessarily listen, that's not the right word. I don't necessarily learn it all in one go. So I might go back and I might go and then come back and then go back with some more questions and till I get it. But I need to be comfortable with it because the questions that you're going to be asked. But even if you don't know everything, okay, biggest credibility is to say, I don't know what you're talking about right now. Let me go and find out that information for you. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear really. I'm just going to say, but don't be a Billy thingy because it's just not going to work, right? You get caught out. Be honest, be straight, and go, do you know what? I really don't know the answer to that question. Let me go and find out for you. Make an appointment to go back and then take the information back to them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Always make an appointment to go back. Do not go, I'll see you next week or whatever. Make that appointment. Make firm commitment that they're going to see you again on Tuesday at 7 a.m. or 5 p.m. or whatever. You know, but if you don't know the answer, then don't try and tell them a load of old cods. It's not going to work. And you'll see through you straight away. And that's the big hard and fast way to lose a sale is to tell them a load of rubbish. So yeah.
Oh, amazing. Nicky, you mentioned you have a course. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm just in the process of still shooting it, which is driving me mad because it's like I'm such a perfectionist that I just keep doing the videos and going, I don't like it, put it back. So but it's in the process of being thing, and that'll be available on Udemy. And it is an elevator. It's about the elevator pitch. It's the start of your sales journey and it's to be used. the elevator pitch doesn't have to be used just in networking events. It can be done when you're actually cold calling. It can be when you're actually in the elevator and suddenly your biggest prospect suddenly comes through the door. That's why it's called an elevator pitch, by the way. And also it can also be used with marketing. Using your marketing, it becomes your brand slogan. That's important. So you can use it in so many different ways. It's almost like one thing, one size fits all sort of a thing. So yeah.
Nicky, where can people get in touch with you then to find out more about your services?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just look up Nicky Saxon. There's only one Nicky Saxon, so you'll be able to find me. And look for my B2P business prospect. You can find me on, obviously, my webpage, which is B2P UK. That's B Bravo number 2 P with a P at Papa UK. .co.uk. So it sounds like I'm saying B2Puck. I've got nothing to do with ice hockey, by the way, guys. It's just that I like the word B2P UK. So that's the reason why I've got that one. So you can find me there, or you can or you can find me on Facebook again, Nicky Saxon, or you can look up B2P or Business Prospect on Facebook as well.
Amazing. Guys, we're going to wrap it up here. I'm so grateful for all of you joining us and all of the comments and all of the love across Facebook and LinkedIn and to YouTube as well. Do join us next week at the same time, 6 p.m. GMT. We're going to be talking all about mindset and mindset wellness as well. And I know that's something that you're all super passionate about. Make sure that you're there, 6 p.m. next Thursday. I cannot wait for it.
Thank you.